Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom Worth Jr. and Ukraine's fate hangs in the balance today in Brussels. This is the day we've been pointing to. They're actually through for the day over there, 7 hours ahead. So they are going into the night. They're going into tomorrow, Friday, if necessary. They're trying to get Ukraine funded. As a country, and they're trying to use frozen Russian assets to do it. And we know that Belgium is against this. This is where most of the funds are located. We're talking about a couple $100 billion US to do this, and all they're doing is asking Russia to pay for the damages that have been done whenever the shooting stops. That's what money is going to be used for. And Ukraine needs to operate as a country. So Europe is still funding them for weapons and loans and all of that stuff. But you've got a huge chunk of money just sitting there. And the Russians should compensate the Ukrainians for what they have wrought. That's the discussion being held over there. Now, it gets complicated. And here's how. Because you have the EU can do things that require unanimous consent, but they can also do things that just require a majority consent. So there's a couple ways they can use these frozen Russian assets, and Russia is screaming bloody murder over this, making all kinds of threats and retaliatory measures. The Europeans are forging ahead on this. Most of them are anyway. You've got Viktor Orban, which is always going to be in Putin's back pocket. He's the one, the leader of Hungary, that will veto anything. And that's why you can't go that route. The route to just flat out have countries loan Ukraine money. But you can have these asset-backed loans by frozen Russian assets. And that only requires a majority to pass. And they have the majority to pass it, but they really want Belgium to sign off on this, because Belgium is the country most at risk, because that's where most of the funds currently are held. And Belgium is saying, hey, it's fine that everybody's okay with Russia coming at them, but we have most of the money and we don't need Russia coming after us. So if we want to jointly spread the risk here and provide guarantees to each other, legal guarantees, financial guarantees. Hey, if Russia comes after me, Belgium, then I need Germany there, I need France there, I need Italy there. But the big one's Germany, and Germany's doing all they can. Germany doesn't want to be personally responsible for loans to Ukraine. They don't want to use their own money from their own citizens to turn around and loan to Ukraine when you've got all of these Russian assets sitting right there. Germany is just saying, why would we use our own citizens' money to pay for Russian damage when the Russians themselves can pay for it? So this is, to be clear, this is not money that's just being handed over to Ukraine. This is a loan, and it is a loan backed by Russian assets. So the Ukrainians should be able to repay it someday, right? If the shooting ever stops and the rebuilding gets underway. Ukraine is just incredibly resource rich. And if the Russians would just stop shooting and stop launching and stop bombing, then Ukraine can totally be on its own. That's why Russia wants them so badly. I mean, yes, they're a front line against NATO, and they say they're always worried about NATO, but NATO's never aggressive towards Russia. It's always the other way around. So what they really want, just like what Trump does with Venezuela, what they really want is just to steal the other country's natural resources. It's just flat out theft. It's Vladimir Putin. It's Donald Trump. That's all it is. It's just theft. It's just, hey, we're bigger and stronger than you. We're going to take your stuff. And Europe is not having it. Now, over here in the Western Hemisphere, Venezuela's out of luck. the U.S. is going to take what it wants from Venezuela, and there's nothing the world can do about it. They've got their hands full with Ukraine right now, but this is a Western Hemisphere. The U.S. is just the hegemonic power over here, so there's nothing anyone can do about this. It's just a matter of time before Trump seizes the Venezuelan oil assets, which are tremendous. And then he can dole them out as he chooses for development to U.S. companies. It's America first, and plain and simple, that's what it is. With Europe, they don't want Ukraine's resources. They want Russia to not invade Europe. So you also have a weird situation where what's called the Eastern Flank countries of NATO, they're this, I guess, newly defined entity. And what they're doing is they had a meeting with those countries. That's the Eastern Front against Russia. And that's who Russia would come to first if they're ever done with Ukraine. And so these countries are worried about their own defense. They're wanting NATO money and NATO defenses to ward off any invasion from Russia. This is Poland. This is the Baltic republics. This is Finland and Sweden. And once Russia is done with Ukraine, they will turn their attention to Eastern Europe. And in that respect, Eastern Europe is like, well, I don't know. It's kind of nice that Russia's preoccupied with Ukraine, because that means all of their troops that are usually up here on our borders are down in Ukraine right now. And if they take Ukraine, then they're going to put those troops right back up here on our borders, and we don't want that. So they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They're trying to build a drone wall, possibly. They just need troops, they need missiles, they need tanks, they need all these conventional things, as well as drones and drone defenses. There's just so much going on over there. And meanwhile, Trump could help out our NATO allies. He could just help bring all of this to a close, or really put our thumb on the scale with our own alliance, but he refuses. He absolutely refuses. It's Trump and Putin against Europe. It's plain and simple. So we'll check back in later, and I appreciate you all watching. Give it a like, give it a subscribe if you would. Like to hear from you. These are things that a lot of people aren't interested in when it's not their own country. The U.S. has the luxury of thinking like that. Europe does not. So I get it. I get it that Americans don't really want to hear about this sometimes, but it matters, because if we let this aggression go unopposed and countries invading other countries with impunity, well, they will continue to do that. And they have to pay for what they've done, in my opinion. And that's what we're trying to get done here. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you all later.